Mike Tyson's disappointment was evident to everyone who watched his fight against Jake Paul. You could see the shock and frustration in his eyes as the fight ended, and it became clear that the adrenaline of the moment was wearing off, leaving behind the harsh reality of what had just happened. The once legendary boxer had just suffered a professional loss at the hands of Jake Paul, a YouTube star-turned-boxer, and it was a defeat that seemed far from what anyone could have imagined. The thought of that loss lingering on his record, especially in such a high-profile, controversial event, seemed to hit Tyson harder than anyone could have predicted. What followed was a rapid shift in Tyson's mindset. He wasn't just disappointed, he was angry. And it didn't take long for him to direct that anger towards Jake Paul, Netflix, and anyone involved in what he saw as a rigged fight. In the aftermath of the event, Tyson's frustration began to boil over. Barely a day passed before Tyson spoke out against the entire spectacle. The bout had been the subject of intense media attention, and Tyson wasn't about to let the result go down quietly. He had spent his career being regarded as one of the fiercest competitors in the sport, and here he was, left to process a loss in a fight many believed to be compromised. Fresh claims soon surfaced, suggesting that the fight had been rigged to ensure Paul's victory. The fight itself was billed as a historic moment, but it didn't take long for suspicions to arise. The fact that Paul was awarded a unanimous decision victory, with the judges scoring at 80, 72, 79, 73, and 79, 73 in his favor, raised eyebrows for many fans, especially when Tyson had appeared to be the stronger fighter early on. Tyson had started the fight with some promising moments. He looked as though he might be able to turn back the clock and deliver the kind of knockout blow that defined his career. But Tyson had only recently recovered from a life-threatening health scare, and it became clear that his body wasn't quite up to the task. As the rounds wore on, Tyson's energy faded, and he struggled to land meaningful punches. He finished the fight with just 18 punches landed, a statistic that starkly contrasted with the early aggression he had shown. Paul, meanwhile, moved to 11-1, adding another victory to his unorthodox boxing career. The fight drew an estimated 108 million viewers, making it one of the most watched events in recent sports history. But for Tyson, it was more than just a loss. It was a blow to his legacy. As the public discussion about the fight continued to swirl, fans quickly began questioning the legitimacy of the contest. Many of them pointed out moments during the fight when it appeared Tyson might have had opportunities to attack Paul, only to hold back. The suspicion that Tyson had intentionally refrained from fully unleashing his power gained traction, especially after comments from Sarah Bailey, the WBA World Lightweight Champion. Bailey, speaking to Yes News, went as far as to claim that the fight had been fixed, adding more fuel to the already burning conspiracy theories. Tyson's frustration boiled over in the days after the fight, and he began pointing the finger directly at Paul and the entities involved in the promotion of the fight. Jake Paul's own comments didn't help matters. In an interview, Paul admitted that he had held back from going for a knockout, saying, "I didn't want to hurt someone who didn't need to be hurt." His words raised even more questions. Was he genuinely showing restraint, or was there something more sinister at play? The notion that Paul was being too cautious with Tyson, especially when Tyson had shown signs of vulnerability, only added to the idea that the fight was somehow controlled. The fact that Paul, who was known for being aggressive in the ring, suddenly seemed so reluctant to finish the fight, made many wonder if there was an agreement in place to ensure Tyson didn't go down too hard. Even more eyebrow-raising was the suggestion made by former Dallas Cowboys star Michael Irvin, who theorized that Tyson had been restricted by a clause in his contract preventing him from throwing his signature uppercut. Irvin claimed that Tyson's contract may have prohibited him from using his most powerful weapon, the uppercut, and that this was why Tyson never unleashed it during the fight. Irvin expressed disbelief that Tyson, a fighter known for his ferocious uppercuts, would avoid using such a signature move. "I was looking for that patent one in the body, one on the uppercut," Irvin said, "but we didn't get that, not a one." He further argued that Tyson's style had been compromised by outside forces, asking, why wouldn't Mike Tyson throw an uppercut? For Irvin, it seemed impossible that Tyson would hold back voluntarily, especially when the opportunity to land a fight-ending punch was within his reach. The idea that the fight had been staged or manipulated didn't stop there. Co-host Colin Cowherd, also weighing in on the situation, speculated that Paul might have intentionally avoided humiliating Tyson by holding back from delivering the knockout punch. Cowherd suggested that Paul's restraint was out of respect for Tyson, or possibly out of a desire not to embarrass a legend. Jake Paul, by about the 5th round, had a chance to knock Tyson out, Cowherd said. I wonder if after what you said, did Jake Paul say, "Listen, I signed a contract. He can't throw an uppercut, so I'm not going to humiliate him." The idea that Paul was being more considerate of Tyson's legacy than he was trying to win seemed absurd to some, but it wasn't far from the claims swirling around the fight. Tyson, for his part, had been forced to endure years of skepticism surrounding his performances. He had already dealt with questions about his age, his health, and whether he still had the fire to compete at the highest level. For many, the fight against Paul was supposed to be a return to form, a chance for Tyson to prove that he still had what it took to fight with the best. But instead, he found himself the target of conspiracy theories and claims that the fight had been rigged from the start. The rumors of a contract stipulation preventing him from using his signature move were just the latest twist in a saga that left Tyson feeling betrayed and frustrated. Paul, ever the showman, had heard his fair share of conspiracy theories throughout his boxing career. His knockouts against Tyron Woodley and Ben Askren had also sparked rumors of rigged fights, and Paul had often dismissed the claims as the work of jealous critics. On his brother Logan's podcast, Paul took the opportunity to rebut the allegations about Tyson pulling his punches, stating, "You don't realize my power and my speed and my agility and my footwork to get out of the way of those punches." Paul insisted that Tyson couldn't land his shots because Paul was simply too fast and too skilled to be hit. For Paul, the accusations of rigging were nothing more than an attempt to undermine his victory, a distraction from the fact that he had successfully taken on and defeated one of the biggest names in boxing history. The claims of a fixed fight didn't stop with Irvin and Cowherd. DJ Woo Kid, a legendary mixtape DJ, shared his own opinion on social media, emphasizing that the fight was essentially a celebrity boxing match, with Tyson and Paul not legally allowed to fight each other at full capacity. According to Woo Kid, the fight had been rigged to protect both fighters from serious injury. He argued that Paul would have died if Tyson had truly landed one of his iconic punches, and vice versa, suggesting that the entire event was more about entertainment than competition. Radio personality Ebro Darden also joined in the chorus of critics, analyzing the fight and pointing out what he believed to be moments of Tyson pulling his punches. Darden highlighted a specific moment at the end of the first round, when Paul appeared to calm Tyson down by whispering something in his ear and wrapping him up on the ropes. Tyson's apparent tap on Paul's back, Darden claimed, seemed to confirm that Tyson had agreed to ease up on the punches. This video, posted by Darden, further fueled the idea that the fight had been carefully orchestrated, with Tyson and Paul both playing their parts in a spectacle designed for the cameras. Even Esho Speed, the popular streamer and personality, weighed in on the controversy. During a conversation at ComplexCon in Las Vegas, Speed expressed his disbelief at Paul's form, claiming that Paul's lack of defense and poor technique showed just how weak his boxing skills were. Speed, confident in his own ability, even suggested that he could knock Paul out if given the chance, adding yet another layer to the ongoing speculation about the legitimacy of the fight. As the debate raged on, Francis Ngannou, the reigning MMA heavyweight champion, couldn't believe his eyes when he watched Tyson lose to Paul. Ngannou, who has long been considered one of the hardest hitters in combat sports, was shocked that Tyson, despite his advanced age, had been beaten by someone with far less experience. For Ngannou, it was another sign that something wasn't right in the world of celebrity boxing. In the wake of the fight, Tyson's anger continued to simmer. The fight was supposed to be a return to glory, a chance for Tyson to show the world that he still had the heart of a champion. Instead, he was left with a loss that many believed was anything but legitimate. Tyson, who had been through the highs and lows of his legendary career, now found himself questioning the very foundation of the sport he had once ruled. As for Jake Paul, he may have claimed victory, but the shadow of suspicion that hung over his win only seemed to grow larger with each passing